Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind, our 127th episode. It's been 2 weeks since our last recording. Niles, how have you been since we talked about The Bride?
I've been good. I've been happy in my own little corner of the world, and that's what I like to focus on is my own happiness. But it's tough to not pay attention to the news and get really frustrated that we're getting dragged into another war and cost of living keeps going up. But personally, everything's going well. I'm happy with what's going on for me, and things are happening for my family. It was my dad's birthday the other day, and so celebrating the little things. I'm happy where I can be. What about you, Dylan? How have you been since we talked about The Bride?
Yeah, I mean, busy and tired overall,
Yes.
but personally, yeah, doing okay. Like you alluded to, the world is very aggravating and scary right now. Another forever war. Gas prices went up historic levels. Israel passed a death penalty for non-Jews only.
Yes.
The what was it? Ben Gvir and all of his buddies celebrated with champagne. If you saw their little pins had nooses, because they're gonna try to hang like 10,000 Palestinian prisoners that they have, who are mostly there without any charge, for the record, and a lot of them are kids. So the world is very bad right now. And we just all got to keep pushing. We got to keep doing what we can to have an impact in the ways we can. We do what we can here on our little podcast. That's why we talk about. That's why we talk about issues like this at the top of the show, though. It's like not everyone in our audience knows about all this stuff, and I have poisoned my brain to learn about it all. So I'm gonna subject you guys to it as well.
Hey, that's all right. It's good to have another source of information, someone you can trust, and I do trust Dylan, and I hope everyone else trusts him too. So
thank you. But also, you shouldn't, if you're a listener, I mean, Niles, you can trust me, but listeners, like, don't just trust me.
Yes.
Look, like, go seek it out. Like, I get this information from places as well. Those are available to you. You should read journalism about this type of stuff. Drop Site News is an excellent source for information about the Middle East conflicts, by the way. I will say.
News. Okay.
Drop Site News is great. But we are here as usual. We're going to talk about a movie. This week we saw Project Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And written by Drew Goddard and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Project Hail Mary adapts the Andy Weir novel of the same name and follows science teacher Ryland Grace as he journeys into space in a race against time to save the Earth before the sun runs out of heat. The film stars Ryan Gosling, James Ortiz, Sandra Hüller, and many, many more. Niles, what are your initial thoughts on Project Hail Mary?
So I will just say, if you don't like this movie, we can't be friends. I think Project Hail Mary really is an excellent movie. Like, just full stop. Like, I have nothing but good things to say about Project Hail Mary, with like the exception of like two kind of small little nagging criticisms that I have that are mostly technical and really don't detract from my viewing experience, and I don't think they'll detract from anyone else's. But Project Hail Mary, I think, is a good example of what modern films should strive to be, right? It's imaginative, it's funny, there's lots of exciting moments, the visuals are fantastic, performances are great, and like the commitment to like the reality of like the movie is like you can see the details like in every scene. Like they really thought through everything, they took it as far as they could with the limitations of the technology and everything that we have right now. But I really loved how the story unfolded here. I think the creators all in all did a fantastic job with the realism and the details. I think it's just so breathtaking, and there's lots of themes in here that are very relevant to our modern world. The big one being global existentialism. That was the big one that I pulled out here. It's kind of unyielding and pervasive in the movie. I feel like the movie is just drenched in this like kind of existentialism, and it really stuck with me, and I hope it sticks with others too. I like when we watched this. We watched this on, was it opening night? I think for the
Yes,
movie.
it was.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we saw it in IMAX. Fantastic viewing experience. But like when I went home later that night, I don't think I fell asleep till 3 a.m. because I couldn't stop thinking about this movie and just the way the emotions just like stuck with me. The story stuck with me. The message stuck
Mm-hmm.
with me. Um, I'm happy that the movie ended on such a hopeful note. This is a big recommend for me. But Dylan, what are some of your initial thoughts?
Yes, like you, I loved this. I'm
Mm,
also I really hope we get a behind the scenes like feature of this because from what I
yeah,
understand, they used very little, maybe even no green screen. So I for the more effects heavy sequences, I'm like I really want to see how they did what they
yeah,
did.
me
You
too.
know. And also, I will say I read the book several months back. I think this is an excellent adaptation of the book. It does, as all adaptations into film from novels have to, like things are cut out. We'll talk about that more in spoilers, but I think it really like found the heart of the book and really focused on nailing that dynamic.
Hmm.
As I already alluded to, visually stunning, worth seeing in IMAX if you have the opportunity to do so. Also, like a lot of this movie rides on the performances and chemistry of Ryan Gosling and James Ortiz, and both of them are really fantastic and nail their characters, I'd say perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt this with The Martian as well, back when that came out 11 years ago now, I think. Uh, but yeah, I love how this story leans into the hopefulness of true cooperation in the face of big, seemingly unsolvable problems.
Hmm.
And you know, as you alluded to with climate change, you know, we could use a bit of that right now, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely, we
Like
could.
it's and we'll talk more about the author in a second because there's some interesting like comments he's made, but I think like
Mm.
he does whether or not he intended to, he does a fairly nice job of showcasing on a surface level at least the scale of cooperation that needs to happen to save us, you know.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. But a huge recommend for me. I think most everyone should go see this movie. Do you want to hop into spoilers?
Yeah, I think that we can. I think the last thing that I would say before we dive into spoilers is just that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Actually, I don't think I have anything else to say. Let's dive into spoilers. Never mind.
All right, let's do it. You want to give a little like synopsis of the plot in a more spoiler heavy way?
Absolutely, I do. So, Project Hail Mary. Grace, our protagonist, played by
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Gosling, he arrives at his destination in space after waking up uh, from cryostasis or whatever sleep and just like having no
Mm-hmm.
memory. But he makes an unlikely friend here when he arrives at his destination, Rocky, who is an intelligent
Mm-hmm.
extraterrestrial spider like engineer without eyes that communicates
Mm-hmm.
via musical chords.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. And there's so many other differences between the two species here, but they work together to gradually solve the riddle of the astrophage, which is the little micro things that are eating the
Mm-hmm.
sun and taking away like the heat that's killing our world. And they both save the worlds because our little friend Rocky comes from his own world, Iridian, um, in search of this same scientific discovery, and it is such a blast through and through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the astrophage, the way it works, it's like it like consumes the energy of the sun into itself, and it can use it, I guess, like maybe it eats off of it, but it also propels itself with it. So it's just yeah. And over the course of the movie, they discover more things about it. Like they find a predator and something that
Mm-hmm.
can like they're sent there to understand why this specific star is not like has astrophage in its solar system but is not dying, whereas every other star is.
Thank you.
And so they have to figure out why. and it's a race against time because both of their planets at different rates are going to freeze to death, basically.
Exactly. Thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, the astrophage is such like an interesting little element in this movie too, because I feel like any other like disaster movie like this
Mm-hmm.
would treat it as just kind of like the main enemy, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's the only thing that it is, and we need to do something about it. But like this movie kind of takes that a step further, being like, no, we can actually use it for fuel to propel us to the destination. Like it's a new fuel source.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that amazing? Like they come up with so many cool little neat things to deal with it, and I think that's kind of one of those things that I mentioned at the top with the details. Like they're so focused on the details in this story, and I
Mm-hmm.
just love that about
Yeah.
Project Hail Mary.
I think they touch on it in the book too. It's not really mentioned in the movie, but they talk about, if I'm remembering correctly, it's like they're like, we can like use this as infinite renewable energy basically
Mm-hmm.
on Earth as well. Like they
Mm-hmm.
don't just use it for the mission. They start sort of like reworking Earth's infrastructure to incorporate it as a fuel source because it's like, why not?
Yeah, might as well. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool. Well, I think the biggest thing, just to get the elephant in the room out of the way, is that the whole driving force behind Project Hail Mary is this theme of this global crisis, right? The Earth is like the astrophage is sucking away the heat from the sun. Basically, it's killing our
Mhm.
star, and it's making our planet's temperature rapidly decrease. Right, and this is going to cause irreversible harm to ecosystems. The entire ecosystem
Mhm.
of Earth in general is just going to transform life as we know it on Earth. And I feel
Mhm.
like this film is eerily prescient and prophetic in a way. Um,
Mhm.
because it feels like it honestly feels like a goddamn flare gun burning a giant hole into my retina. It's like it's so on the nose here
Mhm.
about the message, because I think anyone who's been paying attention to the state of the world for the past
Mhm.
20 years knows that climate change is not just a theory, it is real. It is like this actual scientific thing that's been documented, and we know that the Earth in reality here is gradually increasing in temperature. And that's going to cause
Mhm.
irreversible harm to the planet as well. And so I feel like this crisis in Project Hail Mary is the inverse of what we're seeing today.
Mhm.
And there's even this one point in the film where uh, what's her name, Strap,
Strat. Yeah.
yeah, played by Hüller. She says like 25% of the human population will die in the next 30 years because
Mhm.
of this change that's going to happen. And that's if the governments cooperate, which they won't. Like they're
Yeah.
very honest about that. And
Mhm.
it's not only that the humans are going to die, that like our population is going to diminish so significantly in the next few decades. It's also that like so many species, so many genera of animals are going to disappear off the
Mhm.
earth because of this crisis. So many fauna, so many different life forms on earth are going to fall asleep or going to die because of this.
They're not gonna take a nap. They're gonna
Permanap.
yeah, but you like that's a good point, and that's something that like it's a very honest again, this is going to be very funny in a second, but it's a very honest portrayal of like what will happen as climate change worsens, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be like a snap like that, right? It's going to be okay, the global temperature has risen to a point where this crop that sustains this part of our food supply can no longer grow,
Mm-hmm.
or the water levels are going to rise to a point where they, flood critical infrastructure, and it's going to create refugee crises, and people are going to have to move to safer areas, which is going to cause, we already see it with our government, more militarized borders and
Mm-hmm.
demonization of immigrants and all of this stuff. And it's like it's a gradual falling apart of the systems because we are either at the very tail end or past the period of time where we could collaborate to solve this problem. um,
Yeah.
and this movie is like, I think it gives a warning of like, hey, we have to do this now, like
Yeah.
this has to work.
it's like
So
such
that
like a
existential element of it, yeah.
yeah, like it's such a big warning shot that it's like I feel like you can't ignore this if you watch this movie. Like I said, like when I got home later that night after we watched this movie, I just like kept hyper fixating and anxiously worrying about these like global crises, one after another, after another, after another that we're experiencing
Mm-hmm.
in our lifetime. And I mean, climate change is the biggest one, but you have
Yeah.
so many other things that are just like kind of pushing us, marching us off this
Mm-hmm.
very, very high cliff. And we have no plans to like really fix it. Like I couldn't stop thinking about microplastics or just like,
Mm-hmm.
um, the depletion of just like marine life in the oceans
Right.
and how that's going to like drastically affect our lives. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like spiral here, because I don't think that's what this movie wants us to do, right? I think it wants us to
No.
be hopeful.
But yeah, it wants you to be. I think it wants us to be hopeful, but it also wants us to confront like the reality of
Yes.
decisions we make. Like you're alluding to all the other things outside of just climate change, like the genocide in Gaza, the bombing of Tehran. Like those accelerate climate change because combusting massive amounts of munitions in a
Hmm.
small area, like it pollutes the atmosphere in Tehran. Like I believe it was in our joint strike with Israel, but like Israel hit an oil refinery and it caused oil rain over
Yeah.
the city. It's like those people are going to develop. Everyone in Tehran is going to get cancer because of that. Like
Hmm.
it these things are compounding. They built like you can either collaborate together to get a grasp on the situation, or everything can spiral out of control, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then there's just no
Yes.
coming back from it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. And I think that is we're singing the same tune here. It's all about collaboration
Yes.
and cooperation. And I feel
Hmm.
like it is so easy to feel helpless in like these moments. Like, you
Hmm.
know, Ryan Gosling's character Grace at one point in this movie is just kind of like, I'm not the right person for this. Like there's like even in
Hmm.
his classroom, he's just kind of like the smartest minds in the world are thinking about this
Hmm.
problem right now. They're working on it. And it's just like, no, they're like the plan just like is not really there. I mean, it's coming together. It really is in the
Yeah.
movie, but like he's kind of just like there's hope. There's something that we can do, but like
Hmm.
on an individual level, he just felt he couldn't do anything. All the kids in the classroom were like panicking. They're going crazy. They're like, we're all gonna
Hmm.
die, you know,
Yeah.
um, which is a
That
mystic perspective.
Yeah, but that actually touches on something that now that you mention it, I really like, and I think that ties to the sort of real life parallels. It's like all of us are Grace, right?
Hmm.
We are all in a situation where it's like the politicians, the scientists, whoever, like they'll figure it out. They have to. I'm not the right person, but as this movie shows, that this only works because he's the one who goes. Like,
Yes.
yes, there is a project in place to save everything, but it only works because of his idea, his discovery, his execution, and his friendship that he makes. Like if he'd stayed in that classroom and not gone with them,
Yeah.
Earth doesn't survive. So, and that could be you, it could be me, it could be anybody who's like, I just like, this is too big for me. I can't think about it. I just have to like go to work or do whatever. It's like, maybe think bigger, maybe
Yeah.
you are the one. Maybe you are the person with the right idea at the right time who tips the scales. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like I think it's easy to feel like defeated from the get go,
mm-hmm,
right? Like we've been saying, when you think about oh, the vast majority of carbon emissions are being produced by corporations. They're being produced
mm-hmm,
by these big entities that don't really have incentives to change their practices. Like they're not being
mm-hmm.
mandated really to change anything about what they're doing. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like business as usual. But so then, like on an individual perspective, you're like, well, if they're just polluting, then I can just keep doing what I've been doing all my life, right? And it's like, yeah, that's
Mm-hmm,
one way to think of it. But I think also there is a lot of value in individual action, right? Like
mm-hmm,
this whole past like 2 weeks, like I've like just been like trying to think of myself or trying to think of new ways that I can like stop using as much plastic in my life to like reduce my carbon
mm-hmm.
footprint. Like I'm going to take the bus to work rather than like driving my
Right.
car, like small little things like
Mm-hmm,
that, and trying to embrace a more sustainable lifestyle. And it's like that can happen like as those little changes in your daily life accumulate, you can inspire others and you can collaborate with others to change various aspects of your life, like carpool to work,
Exactly.
or
Mm-hmm.
try and just think more about like your waste or just like other things like that. Like there's small things that you can do as a person
Mm-hmm.
to create lasting change. And I'm hoping that a lot of other people, when they watch this movie, will think about that and but
Yeah.
also take it a step further with like the community
Mm-hmm.
action of it all too.
Exactly. Yeah, you can take like more systemic steps like raise awareness, organize your community, organize your workplace. Like you could run for office, you could seek out people
Mm-hmm.
who align with your views, who you can support to run for office, stuff like that. Like make it a multi-front operation. Like if you want to be, just if you want to just discuss issues, if you want to be an activist, if you want to be a politician, like all of these things are things that can affect that bigger whole. It's like it's not about you as the individual, it's about what you can do to move the needle so that someone eventually will, be in the right position to make that change. But
Yeah.
one thing I love about how this story and The Martian did this as well. The Martian, the book Project Hail Mary and the book The Martian were both written by Andy Weir. That's why I bring up The Martian.
Right.
But The Martian does this on a smaller scale, but it presents this level of hope and optimism that people across the world can and will like come together to solve this type of problem. Obviously, in The Martian, it's about bringing Matt Damon's character home, and it's more of a smaller group of people, I guess. But it's like, I just really love the mentality. Like they're the astronauts in that movie. Like they're on their way home, right?
Right.
And then they find out that Matt Damon's alive, and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll go back for him, obviously." And they just kind of do it. And but I think, like you said too, it doesn't do that in a vacuum. It also serves as a sober reminder to like present the alternative. Like if we don't do this, 25% of humanity dies, best case scenario. It will be worse. And I think but I like the way it presents it in this movie as more of like, this is a warning. We're doing this and we're already here. We're already collaborating. We're going to make this happen. If we don't, this is the consequence. So we have to win. And I've alluded to it already, but this all makes these comments that were either uncovered or recently said by the author of the books, Andy Weir, very odd, because he said he makes a deliberate point to not have any politics in his books whatsoever, which on the one hand, whenever someone says something like that, I'm like, oh, you're a right winger, aren't you? Like, but if he is, whatever, it's not my business. But it's like, and then he also said, like, yeah, if anyone sees anything political in my books, it's because they brought that there themselves. And I'm like, buddy, no, like, come on,
right?
What
Yeah.
are you talking about? It's like whether or not I think that, and we've talked about this before in the sense that like all art is political, right? And whether or not like even if like a deliberate decision to not include politics is itself a political choice, for the record, that is just that is an embracing of the status quo. In general, that is how you would view that. It is the current politics are suitable for me, and I do not want to explore others. I'm not saying that's what Weir is doing specifically. I don't know. But like we've just spent the last 20 minutes talking about the parallels to fucking climate change.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Andy. Politics are in your book, man.
Yeah, like it's there whether you like it or not. And yeah, whether you were trying to put in a political message, it's kind of a moot point now, because like I cannot disassociate this entire movie from climate change. I just can't.
Yeah. But and also just presenting a world where the governments of the world collaborate on an incredibly expensive project to fight a climate catastrophe. I'm like, dog, that's an incredibly political, like salient political portrayal. And the honesty to say this will not last, this will fall apart. That is also political.
Absolutely.
I just think it's so funny. I don't know really anything about his personal life or where he leans on the spectrum outside of that, but that was floating around on the on the interwebs this week, and I just kind of like, it made me go, huh?
Like, wait a second. Well,
but let's talk about Rocky.
Yeah, let's talk about something fun. I love Rocky. Rocky as a character, he's so I love this little dude. He's so cute. He's incredibly cute. He's charming. He's silly. It's so funny that you can make like it sounds weird to say that he's cute because it's like he's a rock, he's a rock creature. So it's like, how can you make that cute? But they found a way, and I think it really, really works very well. Is this how like is this like the vision of how you pictured Rocky when you were reading the book, or was it kind of different? I'm curious.
More or less, he's kind of described as like a rock spider thing.
Okay. Cool.
And the mannerisms and the way he moves and operates very much was how he's sort of written.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was so surprised at how funny this movie was, and I feel like 90% of that was Rocky. Rocky's hilarious. Like Grace, very funny as well, but like I feel like I was cackling every few minutes at something Rocky was saying or doing, like amaze. Like he's got so many good little lines, like fist my bump and stuff. Like so funny.
Yes, I also love Rocky, and I think honestly, if they didn't nail Rocky, the movie doesn't work.
Agreed.
I think the relationship between him and Grace is obviously the emotional core of the film, but like the design needed to be nailed too. Like he needed to be alien enough, but also be cute and endearing. The voice was really important to get right as well. I watching the trailer when I first heard it, I wasn't totally sure, but having seen the movie, yep, it's great.
It works.
Yes. Rocky is such a fun and endearing character. Like he's just so lovable the entire way through. And it's not mentioned in the movie, but in the book, it is revealed that Rocky has been in the Tau Ceti system for a really long time already. I think he's alone on his ship for like 46 years before Grace shows up. And
Rocky.
And that gets even more sad when you remember that like his species, they watch each other when they sleep to keep each other safe. He's had no one to watch him sleep for almost 50 years.
That makes me so sad.
I know.
Rocky. Oh, I love him.
Yeah. He's so great.
He's fantastic, and I just really want to say too that I appreciate that Rocky is such a diverse extraterrestrials from like other popular extraterrestrials in like pop culture media before. Like I feel like as a society we really like to think of aliens as being humanoid, looking similar to us in some regard, but I feel like now a lot of pop culture media has shifted away from that, and now it's kind of embracing this perspective of like, well, life could look like anything, and I think that's totally true. Like just because we have eyes, ears, a nose, and a mouth doesn't mean that every other life form in the universe is going to evolve in a similar way. I really appreciate that that Rocky is so unique. They breathe ammonia, like they like live in these very high temperature environments. The way they eat is very obviously unique.
Yeah,
we'll put it that way. And just like the logistics of like their world or how they see and communicate is all very fascinating to me as well.
Because they don't have eyes, they see like kind of sound waves, basically.
Yeah, it's like sonar
or something like that.
It's like sonar, so they can see like off of like surfaces, but they can't see like other kinds of things like that.
Right. I also love that Rocky, he does feel like genuinely alien, and I do, like so many aliens, especially in film, are very humanoid, right?
Yes.
Part of me wonders, at least historically speaking, like how much of that was just due to like, we need a guy to play this alien, and we have the budget for some paint and some shoulder pads.
Good
or
enough.
something like
Put
that.
him in there. It's good enough, George.
Yeah. Especially on something like Star Trek, right? Where it's like they have an episode every week, so it's like a lot of the aliens are going to be humanoid because we got to have human actors playing them, so they're just going to put a bunch of different makeup on them. And
Yeah.
then, and also like Star Trek is very much, dealing with Earth politics as well. So a lot of different alien races will represent different parts of humanity in
Right.
certain conflicts and stuff like that. But I also love that Rocky is an engineer who can pretty much build anything, and that Grace has like the scientific understanding to really put those inventions to proper use. Like, and that really comes into play with Rocky's ship and the reason his whole crew died, right? Like, the Iridians realized what they had to do, and they had the technological know-how to build a spaceship, but they didn't have the scientific knowledge or the development over decades to understand the concept of radiation. So they built a ship with no radiation protection because they just didn't know. And then Rocky happened to survive just because astrophage blocks radiation, which he also didn't know. But it's like it presents a little like scenario where neither of them would have been able to succeed on their missions, right? Like Grace would not have been able to build the chain thing that helps them fish for the predator, which name I'm forgetting. And Rocky would have died of radiation sickness if he hadn't met Grace. Like, but because they found each other and they put in the work to be able to communicate, understand each other, and care about each other, they're able to succeed and both pull off their missions and save their homes. Like, it's great.
I think it's great as well. Yeah, it's like a perfect little story of cooperation. And Grace as a protagonist, I mean, I think he's fantastic. Ryan Gosling, I think, was a great choice for this role. He fits it so well, and like I feel like comedy comes so easily to him, but also like he's so good at acting very serious too. So like I think he's just very well rounded as an actor in general, and the character's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Gosling is such a talented performer. Like you're saying, his range is very vast. He really, I think, pushes himself in projects. Like, he's like La La Land, musical, Barbie. He plays like a lovable, misogynist.
Right.
In that, in this, he's a scientist. In The Nice Guys, he's the like kind of sleazy loser private detective, which might be my favorite role of his. Also, like romance roles, The Notebook, comedy again, and Crazy Stupid Love. Like, he's definitely one of the best actors working right now. I think he's very talented, and I'm always excited to see what he's going to do next. Reading the book too, and I already knew Gosling had been cast in the movie when I read the book, so maybe I was like, a little biased based on my knowledge, but it became so clear reading the book why Gosling was cast. I'm like, oh, I see this character being a great fit for him, and it was. I also love the reveal towards the end of the story that that he's a big coward. Back on Earth, like he even at the start of the story. We find out that he wrote this like really provocative scientific paper claiming that not all life needed water to survive, or not all life was water based. I believe and he lashed out at the people who criticized his paper, and he got fired, and then he just kind of left the scientific community behind to go be a teacher because it's easier for him. He doesn't have to push himself in the ways he was, But then you also have the thing where he runs away from the mission when he's told he's the one who has to go to space, which, to an extent, fair. That would be terrifying.
I get
it. In the book too, because the structure of the book, it's similar to the movie, but like we're in Grace's head the entire time, and he does not remember at the start like who he is at all, and he's slowly remembering things over time, and that's when the flashback sequences happen. It's like as he remembers something, we get a extended flashback to Project Hail Mary on Earth. And but the entire book, really, he's like wondering how he ended up on the ship because he doesn't remember that part yet.
Right.
And he kind of figures like he must have found it in him to like because he's still scared of being up there, but he's like, well, I must have decided to come here, so I guess I'm equipped to do this. I obviously volunteered to be on the ship. So okay, I guess I know something about this mission. And it turns out the exact opposite, right? But despite that, he finds the courage over the course of the movie, ultimately sacrificing his ability to return to Earth in an effort to save his friend. And it's great. I love it.
I really like it too. It's fantastic, and yeah, Grace is such a great character too, because like I think that he does a really good job of like, you know, delivering some jokes and being funny and like very playful, and it plays really well with like the other characters like Strout and everything like that. But then yeah, he's really good in these like very serious moments where it's like, oh yeah, you know, I don't have any fuel. I don't have enough fuel to make it back to Earth. And it's like a very serious moment. And then Rocky's like, you can have some of mine. And he's just like breaks down crying. And he's like, yeah, I was just lying. I did not make peace with it at all. Like, I'm so glad you're giving me fuel.
Yeah. I love that part. Yeah, the movie, I will say before we move on, like, the movie had me in tears at multiple points throughout, and it did for a lot of our friends we were with as well. It's very it tugs on your heartstrings a lot when it seems like, and you know, I've read the book, I knew Rocky wasn't gonna fucking die, but even me, like in that section where he's just like still in his little environment, it was like I was crying, everybody was fucking crying. It was very emotional.
Yes,
good job. Movie also, yes. Like before we forget, like,
you're good.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller, if you didn't remember, they're creatively involved in the Spider-Verse movies. They directed the Jump Street movies. And they were the original directors for Solo before they were fired and Ron Howard replaced them. So
wow, fascinating. Yeah. I did not know this. This is crazy.
Yes.
Wow.
So like they have a really good track record, and I like, it does make you wonder, like, and I like Solo, for the record. I think Solo is one of the stronger Disney Star Wars entries.
Sure.
It's a very fun movie, but it does make you wonder, like after watching this especially, I'm like, I kind of want to see what their Han Solo movie was going to be. You know, like, yeah, I'm kind of curious now.
yeah, it would have been different than Ron Howard, that's for sure. Yeah. Fascinating. Well, I want to talk about two things real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to try not like dwell on them too much. I have just two main criticisms for this movie, and they're very minimal and technical.
Yes.
First one is the language barrier. When Grace and Rocky first meet in this movie, I feel like just in general, like their time in space, like is much longer than it's presented to us, right? Like I feel like they're up there for probably like a year, maybe two, something like that. Like it feels like it's just a very long process, right? I could be wrong about that, but that's just how it feels to me with how the passage of time goes in this movie. But when Rocky and Grace meet, there's like about like a 10-minute sequence of them overcoming this language barrier, right? They start off with like this clock and like numbers, and it gradually builds from there, and he builds up like this kind of like repository of like information, like translated words on his computer, and that's how they start to break down this language barrier, and they get over it, and it's not perfect, but they understand each other enough to start moving through the things that they need to do for their missions. My criticism is that it is, while this is an effective and quick sequence and it gets the job done, it is unrealistic. I'm getting very technical here, so don't hate me, but there is no Rosetta Stone for English and Iridian, right? You're starting from square one, which is math, and that is the right place to start for sure, but like language translation takes a long time, even if you have some supportive technology or AI to help you along, which I'm sure he did in the movie. But I think the way that I put it in perspective is, you and I speak English, Dylan, and if you or I wanted to learn something like French or Spanish or German, you know, like we could do it because we have the blueprint, and our languages share like this common root language going back to like Latin, Germanic roots, right? So like we can get there. Like we but it'll take some time, right? We're not going to pick it up overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time. If I wanted to learn something like Vietnamese or Russian, that's going to take me much, much longer because we don't share a common root language with them. It's entirely foreign to us. So it'll take me months, maybe even years to understand like basic Russian words, syntax, sentence structure, and other fundamentals. And that's when you have a translation app or book. Like that's when you have a guide there to like speed you along and help you understand what equals what. They don't have a Rosetta Stone, so there's no like they're starting from nothing, scratch. And so that's kind of just my main criticism here. But if you want an accurate representation of navigating the linguistic barrier between extraterrestrials and terrestrials, watch Arrival. Watch that Denis Villeneuve film, because that does a
Denis Villeneuve. You sounded like that YouTuber from like ages ago who called him Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve.
You just talked about how we have similar language roots to the French, Niles.
I know. I'm shooting myself in the foot, aren't I?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But like that film Arrival, it does a much better job of like navigating that barrier, right? Because that's the entire focus of the film. And Project Hail Mary, that's not the focus of the film. We breeze through the language stuff for the sake of time and to get to the main pieces of the film. So I'm not mad about it, but I will just say it takes longer than 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or ever how long they actually spent on it. And also just one other small, very, very, very technical criticism while we're on the language barrier, and then I'll shut up about language. When Rocky speaks in Iridian, the computer then speaks the translation aloud in English, right, to Grace, and that's how he understands it. Unless I missed a line or something, there is no vice versa for Rocky. How is Rocky understanding Grace?
Yeah, so I can answer a little bit of that from the book. So in the book too, I think it's a little bit slower process, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, they start with like sounds and build up to words from there. I don't remember if that's accurate or not though. But also at a certain point in the book, Grace and Rocky don't need the computer anymore. Like they're familiar enough with each other's speech to mostly just be conversing back and forth. Like Grace speaks in English, Rocky speaks in Iridian, and they understand each other. So the computer is there for our benefit because we can't understand Rocky without it. Like they could have just switched to regular subtitles, but I think they just chose to keep it simple, and it works fine for me there. Yes. Point taken though about the language. It's not realistic, but also like you said, it's not the point. The point is that like it ties into, and we talk about this a lot on this show, but it's like, is it realistic? No. Is it thematically appropriate? Yes, because the film is about collaboration and coming together to solve complex problems, and through their ingenuity and their willingness to work together, they do something that they probably shouldn't be able to pull off. Like the whole premise of the movie is something we couldn't really pull off, right? Like sending 3 astronauts through cryosleep to a different solar system to figure out why a certain sun isn't going out is a little bit beyond the pale, but whatever.
we're talking about movies here, so it doesn't need to make entire sense.
It maintains verisimilitude. It like maintains internal consistency for the world of the story. Like it's a story about pulling off impossible feats. This is one of those.
Yes, you could have made the whole movie could have just been the language barrier. Like that could have been, they could have spent the whole movie just them focusing on the language, but again, it's not the point.
Watch Arrival if you want that. People should watch Arrival if you haven't seen it. It's an incredible film. It's so good.
It is so good.
Yeah.
My other main criticism of this film is just the visual representation of the crisis on Earth. And this is very small because I think the final scene that we got on Earth does a really good job of visually establishing how significant the crisis is on Earth, right? The final shot that we see is that aircraft carrier where the whole scientific teams have been kind of meeting, and where Grace was for a while with Strout and everybody, all the engineers and everything like that. like working on this issue, and you see
Mm-hmm.
the aircraft carrier cutting through ice in the middle of the ocean, and it's
Mm-hmm.
likely not the Arctic Ocean, right? It's probably like
Right.
the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean or something like that. So that just visually
Mm-hmm.
demonstrates how global temperatures have plummeted on Earth and have caused widespread change to the ecosystems across the globe. So it works. It's
Mm-hmm.
fantastic, and I love it. I personally just wish that we maybe included 1 to 3 more quick scenes or shots of the crisis worsening on Earth over time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
like maybe they could have thrown in just like a shot of just like rows and rows of farmers struggling to grow crops in cold weather, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, they showed a news broadcast at like the start of the film. It's like, why can't you do another news broadcast showing riots in the streets or governments being overthrown or something like that? And the reason why I
Mm-hmm.
wanted those scenes is mainly to just drive home the existential message of this movie, because I think that
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot of people who will walk out of this movie blissfully and not think about changing anything in their life. They're not going to think about any of these ongoing global crises. They're going to be like, oh, my
Mm-hmm.
life's great. I don't need to change anything. Like I'm happy in my little corner of the world, like I was saying, the top. But, I think it's just going to be, if there were some more of those shots in the movie, maybe it would stick more with people of like, okay, this is a crisis and we need to respond, cooperate together on it. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah, I think fair. I think, and I'll go into differences between the movie and the book in just a second. But I think the reason we don't get that is the book is entirely from Grace's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't see anything that happens on Earth after Grace leaves
Mm-hmm.
in the book. And I'll come so the seeing Strat on the aircraft carrier at the end and like affirming that the Beatles get back with the data. We don't get that we don't get that resolution in the book. It's like assumed because of the tone of the book, like it's hopeful, like it's like they probably got back. Grace and Rocky talk about it. It's like, yeah, they're probably fixing the problems right now, like it's gonna be fine. But that's an extra scene. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's why we don't get those scenes. Also,
It's fine.
maybe Andy Weir didn't want to show them because he doesn't want to talk about politics in his books or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
I don't want to get too political.
Yeah. Not to get political, but climate change fucking blows. It's March here, and it's been almost 90 fucking degrees in Denver, Colorado for the last 3 weeks. It's bad. Yeah. But yeah, like last week was supposed to be the week that the Rocky Mountains have their deepest snowpack during the year, and it was gone.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
don't love it.
Great shit. But some differences between the movie and the book. Obviously, adaptations. You're changing medium; things need to change.
Yes.
That is the nature of adaptation. That is why I think we talked about before. Adaptation is a form of translation. Literature has a different language than film does. You have to translate the story to a new thing. And I won't say these are criticisms necessarily, but I will say in the book, we get a lot more of the project on Earth before Grace leaves. Like way, way more. I think all of the main plot beats are covered in the movie, but we spend more time with the characters. We get to know them a little bit better. Like the structure is the same, the things that happen are the same.
Okay.
But like there's a lot more discussion about the logistics of what they're doing, what they have to do. Like, for example, at one point, I think they pave over the entire Sahara Desert to like,
wow.
They're trying to breed astrophage at scale. And so they need a lot of, I forget why they pave over the Sahara specifically, but they do. They also nuke the polar ice caps. Because they're trying to induce global warming to slow down the cooling process of the planet.
Wow.
So they try to like increase greenhouse gases to slow the problem they're dealing with. So they do like a lot more stuff like that. And it
Wow.
also gives, yeah, it's pretty wild. And it ties into like Strat's character a little bit more too, because like she talks about it several points in the book. It's like, yeah, like I'm gonna get arrested after this. They're gonna put me on trial for the shit that I'm having us do, but it's fine. Like we have
Yeah.
to do this. So like, but like all of that gives us more time to sort of be with those supporting characters, like the other astronauts
Hmm.
that go up on the ship with him. They're people he gets to know over the course of the project. Same with the backup astronauts. Like two of the astronauts, you kind of see like they start falling in love. And they
Mm-hmm.
know that it's not going to work out because like one of them is going up on the ship and one of them is the backup. So like they only have until the ship is ready, and then one of them is going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then like in the movie, it's like we don't get a whole lot of play outside of Grace, Strat, and Carl, who's a lot of fun. I love that
Oh
sequence
yeah.
when it's just the two of them together, and he's like, "Do we have an expense account?" I was like, "No, but I do." And then they go, like that was fun. Um, Another difference is when after the sort of fishing sequence when they spin out of control. Ryan Rocky leaves his environment to save Grace, and he gets really like injured and almost dies. He's back in his environment. He's like covered in all of this soot stuff that you see him like leaving behind him in the movie too. And
Hmm.
Grace trying to help him, like sort of tries to like pressure wash the soot out of him basically, and he does that. And then when Rocky eventually wakes up, he's like, something's not right. And then Grace explains what he did, and he's like, "Oh, that like you almost killed me by doing that." So I
Jeez.
like, yeah. So I that one specifically, I most understand why they cut it out, right? Because like it would just be a weird like tonal spike in the
Hmm.
movie. Like we don't need to feel that emotion because nothing comes of it. It's just like, oh, you could have killed me, but you didn't. And I'm like, okay. Um, and also, already mentioned this, but we never see what happens on Earth after Grace leaves. Literally nothing that happens after Strat knocks him out
Yeah.
is seen. Um, Also, very small difference, but like Grace's little dome that he lives in at the end is at least like the way I pictured it, a lot smaller. Like I kind of got the sense that it was like a house and a little yard, and
Oh,
then he
okay.
had
Yeah, yeah.
access to a classroom. And in the movie, he gets like a whole big like beach, which I think works great in the visuals of the movie because they get to like sit
Hmm.
on the beach next to each other like they were doing in the virtual little room on the
Yeah.
ship.
Mm.
Um, I think most of the Grace and Rocky stuff is largely unchanged.
Okay.
And that is where like that's why I say this is like a pseudo criticism of cutting out the stuff, some of the like more Earth stuff, because it's like the Grace Rocky relationship is the important like emotional core of the movie, and they really zeroed in on nailing that, and they did. So I'm not like too upset about them cutting the rest of the stuff, even though the sequences on Earth are like a lot of fun, and it would have been fun to see more of those. But
Yeah. But yeah, it's this tale of collaboration and cooperation with beings that you never thought you would
mhm,
cooperate with and work with. And yeah, I can understand why, yeah, they made the creative decisions they did, because you also want the emotional impact to be like really like Rocky and Grace. Like those
mhm,
side characters are great and I like them a lot, but
yeah,
no, these two are protagonists and they need to be like the
mhm,
glue that holds the movie together. So totally
yes.
get why they made those decisions.
And they probably did film a lot of that stuff too. I just pulled up the runtime. Like the movie's 2 hours and 36 minutes long. It's a
Yeah.
pretty sizable movie. I will say it does not feel its length when watching it. It's paced very well. But I think Lord and Miller said that the assembly cut of the movie was like 3 hours and 45 minutes, and they had to cut a
Ooh.
lot out. So, like, I bet a lot of that stuff was the more Earth centric stuff, and that's part of the editing process. You have to make tough decisions. Not everything can come in or stay in a movie. Like it can't be
Yeah.
that long. Today's audiences do not have the patience or bladder stamina for a Lawrence of Arabia length movie at this time, unless it has an intermission. Intermissions
Yeah.
are, they're fine.
Well, we'll look out for the 4-hour director cut whenever that's released.
Yeah. But like moving on to the visuals too, like we touched on already,
Yes.
talking about how little CGI apparently was used, but I really loved the look of this film. I loved how when we would go from Grace in the ship to the flashbacks, like the camera movement would be kind of like moving, like orbiting or like spinning around like we're in space, and then the shot would transition and the camera movement would maintain into the Earth scenes and then settle in. I also liked we saw it in IMAX, as we mentioned, and like the full IMAX aspect ratio was used in the Rocky Grace segments in space, and then it went back down to a normal cinematic aspect ratio for the flashback sequences. The standout for me though was the Adrian fishing sequence where Grace goes out on the hull and they lower their little contraption to catch the Tiamid. What do they call it?
I cannot remember anymore.
Whatever, it's not important. But
the astrophage killer.
I mean the astrophage killer. Yeah, but yeah, I like that big green planet. Also, the red when they use the astrophage astroscope or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And you see all the little red dots and everything. It's so cool.
it's so neat. Yeah, and it's so detailed, like we were saying.
Petrovoscope. That's what it's called.
Petrovoscope. Yeah, that's right. Because it's the Petrovia curve thing.
Petrova line, yeah.
The Petrovia line, yeah. I also, like, since we're speaking of the visuals and we already talked about the behind the scenes, I really do want to see, like, some of those things. Because, like, I'm still thinking about, like, how do they film some of these, gravity-less scenes where just like things are floating around, and then they have like I can't remember the principle that they use, but they create their own gravity.
Centripetal force.
Yeah, centripetal force, I guess. Or centrifuge. That's what they called it.
Yeah, centrifuge. Sorry,
centrifuge. Thank you. So they're using that. And so, like, in one moment, like, there's like a shot where it's just like everything's kind of floating, and then it all comes down,
and the camera kind of turns.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
how
did they film that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about it a long time ago on the show, but when I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, I had a similar thought because I'm like, a lot of time we can kind of piece together how they filmed things practically, but that scene of him like walking on the stairs in the circle, like it just blew my fucking mind last year, whenever it was that I watched that.
That one's a crazy shot for sure. But yeah, there's this movie's packed with great visuals altogether. Project Hail Mary is beautiful.
It is. Yeah.
And we already kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to talk a little bit briefly about Strat's betrayal. And we should have talked about it earlier, but this is introduced at a very great and appropriate time in the story, because this flashback comes at around the time when Grace is kind of making this decision to go save Rocky, right? He's kind of, it's like directly connecting this profound moment of cowardice that he felt on Earth. And he's just like, I can't do this mission. I can't do it. And it connects it to his current moment of bravery, where it's just like, I need to go save my friend. I need to do this brave thing right now. And I just think that betrayal was fantastic altogether, but I really like the timing of it.
And it also, like, the timing is so important in the story too, because it's like, it's what I think it both motivates him to make the right decision in this moment, but also it ties back to the specific cause of his cowardice, right? Like, he didn't want to leave in part because he was scared and didn't think he was qualified, but because he wanted to come home. Like, he wanted to live on Earth. And his moment of bravery to go save Rocky is him forsaking ever seeing Earth again, right? So he's faced with the same decision, but this time has the ability and the power to make the right decision, and he does. Because it's like Rocky would die horribly if he did not do what he did. Like, eventually he would he would run out of astrophage, and so he'd get radiation sickness, and then he would just like suffocate and die, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that would be horrible.
exactly.
But I like, and beyond just the grace of it all too, like it's very in line with Strat's character, and you see more of this in the book, like I alluded to. But she is laser focused in the book on doing literally whatever is required for the mission to succeed. Like she is given full authority to override any government actor across the entire world, and she does it repeatedly. She nukes the ice caps. She like
Crazy.
destroys entire ecosystems and stuff like that. And so like yeah, obviously, if her flight team was all killed and Grace had been around for the entire mission, he'd been present for all the trainings and stuff, he is the most qualified person alive to pull it off. So, of course, she's going to make him do it, whether or
Yeah.
not he wants to. Like, it's,
Yeah.
and she's just like, she does. I like how it's true to her character. Like, she doesn't, you can tell she likes Grace and she doesn't feel good about it, but she is kind of like, I was giving you the opportunity to decide to do this on your own, but you were doing this. It's not up to you.
Yeah. Oh, well, the way she like breaks the ice is just like so good too. It's just like all these.
Mhm.
She's like, this isn't a question. This is a demand, and like all these guys
Yeah.
kind of slowly start to creep into the room, and it's like, oh no, you're fucked, dude. You're going on this mission.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Hüller as Strout is fantastic. She really does a good job in this role. I really like her deadpan delivery, like throughout the whole movie. I think it's super excellent. But then there's like this moment where she does this karaoke cover of "Sign of the Times" by Harry Styles, and it is magical. Honestly, like I think it is magical. Not only is her like singing voice really good, but just like I think the emotional power behind that song in the movie, in the context, and like the way it is performed by the band and everything is phenomenal. I think it's a beautiful moment in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. It's really wonderful. I believe she picked the song as well for that scene. I guess she was given the choice to sort of decide that part for herself.
Good choice.
It's an important like moment, I think, too, for her. Is like she's the mission lead for this whole group, right? But she's the authority figure, and she needs to show some sort of like humanity to the rest of them, I think, because she is asking them to sacrifice their lives. So it's sort of like an outreach gesture. I think she's the emotional anchor for the Earth sections of the story. Like, I really enjoy her and Grace's dynamic. I think they play off of each other really well. I am glad they didn't like go off book and try to make it some romantic thing that would not have worked.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There was a moment on the boat where they're like talking outside, and I'm just like, I don't want this, so please don't force it.
Yep. No, I was in the same boat. Because that scene is very intimate, right? And intimate can manifest in a lot of different ways. And I was also worried. I'm like, don't go in the romantic direction. It's not right. It's not right for these characters. Neither of them would do that, and they didn't. So yay, good call.
Very good.
I also will say I really love the ending. I think like Grace getting to return to being a school teacher, but for the little Iridians, is very cute, and also they were adorable.
Yeah,
and
I love how they're all like different colors and like different sizes too. So it's just like, which one of these are kids and which one of them are like full grown adults? Like it's so unclear, but it's like, I don't care. This is so cool that he's just like has his own little classroom and they're engaged and they want to learn. And it's like, oh, cool. Let me teach you about, the theory of relativity because you guys don't know that. Like,
yeah, I do love the like difference in technological and scientific understanding that these two cultures have, and how it's I don't know, it was just like it creates a fun exchange of ideas between both Grace and Rocky, and also like how Grace can impact this society that he is now a part of.
Yeah, it's very positive and hopeful.
Yeah. And it's a very fitting like end to the story too, because I remember when reading the book the entire time I'm thinking about like they make it very clear how long the mission is going to take, and the most important thing like to Grace is his school kids and like taking care of them, making sure they're going to be all right. And the entire time I'm thinking it's like, well, they're going to be like adults by the time he gets back. All of his friends that he has are going to be like way older. It's like your life is going to be completely wrecked. And then him like deciding to go to Arid instead, just it works, you know. He gets
Agreed.
to spend the rest of his life with his new friend. And one other difference from the book is this ending in the book. I think it's like 15 years later. Like Grace is starting to age a little bit. Arid is also aging him faster than Earth would. I think it's bigger, so it has a bigger center of gravity, and that's something that affects.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like it
something
just
like that.
it wears more on his body. But yeah, and that difference isn't really that significant. But I love it. I'm glad this movie was made and was excellent and is doing really well.
Yeah.
It is the type of movie we need, you know. It's a big blockbuster, it's very enjoyable, and it's not tied to any sort of big franchise or anything like that. It's just a
Yeah.
standalone sci-fi adventure movie, and it seems like everybody kind of likes it.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a single person be like, I hate this movie, but it is such a fun movie. It's so relevant to the time that we live in. It is a sign of the times.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's a lot that we can learn from it and just like reflect, you know. So I encourage, if you've not seen it, watch it. Big recommend.
Yep. Any final thoughts on Project Hail Mary?
No, I don't think so. Why don't we transition to the final segment of our show, where we talk about other media explorations, books, TV shows, video games, all that kind of stuff. Dylan, what have you been exploring lately?
Continuing to read Brandon Sanderson's Isles of the Emberdark. I'm about probably 80% of the way through the book at this point. It's interesting. Of the ones I've read, it's probably I've talked about his work and his like broader series on here before, but it's like he has all these different fantasy series that are all in the same universe, and they're kind of more and more merging together in different ways. I have mixed feelings about that, but this is the book that I think is most leaning into it, and I don't always like when it does that, but it's fun at the same time, you know, to see like the societies that characters I loved in past series, like they've progressed in a lot of ways. They're in a space age now, and they're behaving in ways that I don't remember them kind of doing in the old series. So I'm kind of like curious. I'm like, what's happened in between then and now to where these people are like kind of like this. I'm intrigued at the broader project. I still will maintain like I like the parts more than the sum of their parts, and it seems like Sanderson might skew a little bit more in the other direction, and it's his work, so it's like, okay, that's where we're going. But it's fine. I'm also watching the second season of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. You may remember me talking about this show several years ago on here. It's in the Monsterverse with Godzilla and Kong Skull Island and all that. It stars Kurt and Wyatt Russell. That's the same character in different eras. And Anna Sawai from Shogun is also in it. She's the lead actress. It's a silly show, but it's a lot of fun as well. And this is like my favorite iteration of the Monsterverse stuff outside of Kong Skull Island, I think, because I just like following human characters who have to exist in a world where like sometimes a Godzilla has to just stomp through your city to get to where he's going. Like, I think that to me is the most interesting like exploration of this type of universe.
Sure.
So
I get that. I would love to see like a whole that is a good point. I should actually watch that show now, because
Mhm.
like there's a part of me that's like, I would love to see a whole show that is just like civilians living in a superhero universe and being
Mhm.
like, fuck, that's the sixth car this week that I've had to like report to insurance because it's been
Mhm.
destroyed, or like, oh, you just crashed in my house.
Yeah. And yeah, and they like work alongside the Monarch organization, which is the big like government entity that like monitors the monsters and stuff.
Right.
But it's um there's a so do you remember in Kong Skull Island John Goodman's character? He like leads the expedition for a
I
while
actually
in it.
I actually don't think I ever saw that movie.
Oh, that's the best movie in the
I
franchise,
do
in my
need to see
opinion. It's
that.
set
Yeah.
it's like it's set just after the Vietnam War, and so it really leans into like Apocalypse Now iconography at points. Has Brie Larson, Tom Hiddleston, John Goodman, Samuel L. Jackson, Toby
Wow.
Kebbell, and I'm forgetting someone else, but
Quite the
it's
cast. Yeah.
John C. Riley's in it too.
Fuck. That's so odd.
It's awesome, man. It's
Cool.
so good. It's a really fun movie, but um yeah, it has like the younger version of his character in the flashback sequences that are set more in the 50s, and it's like follows Wyatt Russell's version of the character and his like two partners, and there's like a love triangle thing going on there, but they're
Right.
like founding Monarch and hunting for the monsters, and then it goes to the present day where they're like modern day characters who were, descended from them or related to them in some way, and they're on their own adventure. And the one funny thing though is like the monsters look fantastic. They look, I'd say, as good as they do in the movies or close to it. But that comes at the expense of budget elsewhere. So a lot of the show right now is on a big boat. It's on a big ship on the inside.
Love it.
you know,
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
which totally fine. That's how you got to do it. Also watching the new season of The Pit still. Excellent
Mm-hmm.
show. Season 2 is really like exploring the mental health consequences of working in an emergency department on the healthcare workers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You are seeing like their various mental health issues like really manifest in kind of like ugly and vicious ways this season, which has been a very not fun thing to watch, but
Yeah.
dynamic thing to watch. Like you're seeing character like Dr. Robbie, especially the main doctor. He's like the entire season is very much telegraphing. It's like he's going on a sabbatical on a motorcycle at the end of the day, and as the season goes on, everybody's kind of like, I kind of feel like you're gonna kill yourself. I don't want you to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of like a little bit more on edge and lashing out at people, like he really wants to get out and do what he's gonna do. So I'm interested to see how the back portion of the season kind of resolves that conflict
Interesting.
in a satisfying way. And then last night I went to see Ready or Not 2 with
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton. If you like the first one, you'll like this one. It's a lot of fun. Do you
Cool.
know the premise of the first one at all?
I do, yeah. But I haven't seen it. I need to watch it because I've heard nothing but good
Okay.
things about
Okay,
it.
yeah, you should watch it. I will not elaborate on the premise more than what you already know, because there is more to it than initially meets the eye, and that element is very, very fun. The first one is on Hulu, I believe, if you want to check it out.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna
yeah.
watch that. That's on the list now.
Yeah, but they are incredibly gory movies. The second one had I forget his name, but he plays doctor on The Pit. He's in the second one. Sarah Michelle Gellar is in the second one. Elijah Wood is in it as well.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
it's yeah. And I won't elaborate anymore because I want you to like go in kind of fresh. But what about you? What have you been watching, playing, reading, doing?
So, in terms of new stuff, the most new
Mhm.
stuff that I've been watching has been the new season of Invincible, season 4.
Oh, I forgot to mention that. I watched the first
Yeah.
episode too. I just checked off that I talked about it, even though I
You're
didn't.
It's good. It's good. I talked about. We're good at. We can move on. It's fun. I mean, I think like the first the first few episodes are always kind of slower than the back half of the season, I would say.
Right.
And you can kind of tell that they're saving the budget for the back half of the season. Especially like that first episode. I'm like, man, it just feels like everything's very slow. And yeah, there could be more detail here, but I know you're saving it for the big villain fight at the end, and I know it's coming, and it's going to be so worth it. But I'm really liking this season. It's fun again. Invincible is always a fun time. You know, we've talked about it a few times on this show, and I really like this series. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's probably the most creative exploration of like superhero antics that I've ever seen. So I'm really liking it.
Did you watch all the episodes that are out so far?
Yes, I am up to the Herm, the
Oh, I'm not, so no spoilers.
Okay.
I've only watched the first one, but
it's
yeah,
fun.
I kind of wish, you know, like it's on Amazon. They have more money than God. Like, I kind of wish they would have like helped them out with the budget a little bit more by now. Like, it's a pretty popular show on the platform, right? Like, it's
it's very popular, and yeah, I don't understand why. I really don't. It needs more budget, because like, especially when you look at like the 8th episode of season 3, it's just like, oh my god, the animation's so detailed, it's so fluid, it feels so great. And then you start this season and you're like, come on, like, there's no movement here. Like, you give me something more than what they've got. But I'm still liking it. I think it's a lot of fun. Excited to see where it goes, and I know exactly where it's going, and it's gonna fuck shit up. But then otherwise, outside of that, just been rewatching a few things. We actually rewatched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou the other night. I think it was 2000. I think the movie came out in like 2000 or 2002, something like that. So it is such a fantastic film, and it is so surprising to me. Like, as we were watching it, I was just like, oh, we listen to this song all the time. Like, there's the soundtrack of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is amazing. It is so good. Like, we still listen to some of those songs like on a regular basis, and I forgot that they came from this movie. But it's so good, and it makes me want to read the Odyssey even more in preparation for the Odyssey. As well. Yeah. Because I need to know that story a little better. But otherwise,
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is an adaptation of the Odyssey.
I know, yeah, right. Like, I know some of the common beats, like, you know, the Cyclops and meeting the devil, I suppose.
The Island of the Lotus Eaters.
Yeah, the sirens, you know, like the sirens are there too. But yeah, I don't know all the twists and turns of the Odyssey, so I need to familiarize myself with that again.
Not related to the Odyssey, and not related to any media. Oh wait, you have another thing to talk about, don't you?
I do, yeah. But what were you going to say? Oh,
it's just related to, because the Odyssey, they're like sailing in the Mediterranean, right?
Yes.
Some trivia I learned recently is, like, you know, the Strait of Gibraltar, right?
Yes.
So people, I guess, have like sort of either discovered or theorized that was not always open for water to flow through.
Oh.
And that like at one point, way back in the day, like that ground eroded, and it caused the flooding of what used to be a desert basin in the Mediterranean Sea. And so, and that would align with, like, you know, so many, like, in Christianity, but other like founding myths as well, like, all speak of this great flood. It's like, that was it. Maybe that was it. Like, because it would have flooded over the course of like a couple years, I guess, because it's a huge area, obviously. But like, I don't know. I just think that I'd like that bit of, would it be geology? Is really interesting. Like, that would be so wild to just have the landscape transformed that drastically. And
that is pretty cool.
It would like inform why so many old religious myths and theologies like include the story of a great flood.
Yeah. Makes you think. I'm going to look
Yeah.
up that later for sure.
Yeah.
The last thing on my list of explorations, we have restarted rewatching Mad Men with John Hamm, January Jones, and so many other actors. It's, man, that show is such a trip. Like, I don't think I ever finished it all the way through. I think I probably got up to like season 5 and then I dropped off. So I want to finish it this time. But like, man, those guys smoke and drink so much. It is ungodly. Like, it is absurd. And then just like the constant misogyny in this show is unbelievable. It was of the times, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's still a good show.
Right. I need to watch it. I've only ever seen the pilot, which was great. But I'm, everybody's familiar with Don Draper and his antics.
Cigarettes.
Every now and then I see that screenshot of the like one lady and being like, I can't wait until all of you are in Vietnam next year.
Oh, that's a good one. But yeah, he's, and now that I've worked in like advertising and marketing for so long, it's like, okay, I understand more of what they're talking about. Like, I think the first time when I watched it, I was like, what the hell are they talking about with like pitches and account executives and all this like BS? It sounds just like a bunch of like business mumbo jumbo, and it is, but it's also like, oh yeah, I understand accounts are structured this way, creative is structured this way, like these departments are siloed, and a pitch is, you really work on these pitches for a long time. And so I just appreciate it a little bit more now.
Yeah, and like, working in advertising, you're usually under 6 whiskey by the time it's time to go home for the day. It's more relatable now.
Yeah, and I'll stop like at my mistress's home and just cheat on my wife for 3 hours, and then come home and I'm the hero for my kids.
Exactly. And don't forget the hour-and-a-half business lunch where you had a massive steak, another whiskey, and a cigarette.
Can't forget
2.
it. Yes,
Can't
that is an
important
part of nutrition.
Remember that article? I forget where it was published, but some like boomer wrote about how like millennials killed the business lunch or something, and then everybody is like, "Wait, we're working. Like we don't have time to go out for 2 fucking hours to go have steak at some expensive restaurant. It's like, we're working and we're poor. Like, what the fuck?
What do you want us to do? I don't have an expense account."
Oh man. Anything else, or will that do it for the show today?
I think that's gonna do it, but thank you all so much for listening to Play Pause Rewind. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you enjoyed listening, because we enjoy making these episodes for y'all.
Indeed. Yes. Niles, until next episode, where can people find you online?
You can always find me right here on this podcast with all of our great episodes. And you can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles. What about you, Dylan? Where can people follow you online?
On Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at D-Day Movies, on YouTube at D-Day Movies. And like Niles said, you can find me and him here at Play Pause Rewind, both on YouTube and your podcast catcher of choice. We also have a second channel that we upload to less frequently called Play Pause Rewind Videos. We're on TikTok as well. That hasn't really had much there, but you can go follow just for fun. And then sooner or later we're gonna have a website going as well, and we're gonna have some cool stuff on there. So stay tuned for that. We will, I guess, like do an announcement and like a big little launch whenever it's ready. So yeah, but we'll be back in about 2 weeks for another review. Not sure of what yet, but we will figure it out in the interim.
Yeah.
Until then, stay safe out there. Keep doing the right thing, and we'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.
Bye.